Oh, hello, and welcome back to Venture Starters. Hello. Welcome back. Great to see everybody. What a wonderful night this is going to be. Hello, everybody. We're going to take the next 10 minutes to just do some announcements before the event gets started and to essentially let everybody arrive. Because I'm expecting a pretty nice size audience. For those of you who keep up with, who are part of our community, have been part, we need to that screen share needs to leave. Whoever's doing the screen share, how can we get the screen share off? Okay, sorry. There's no screen shares allowed except for the people who are pitching tonight. And everybody, just so you know, we've already pre-selected who's going to pitch tonight. Those are going to be the only people who you will see, at least on this particular version. We have a lot of future events where it'll be open pitch, like we're typically used to doing, but not for a unicorn night. I also just want to say, we had a very difficult time selecting the unicorns. There were so many of you who presented and have sent us decks, and we could easily do 4 unicorn events just from everybody who is interested. We will do more. We're not, and don't feel like you're not a unicorn because you didn't get selected. It turns out Norma and I are trying to give preference to women and companies that are in spaces that we haven't really seen much, and we kind of had to just sort of make some decisions. So tonight we have, I believe, 5 women pitching and 4 men. It might even be 6 and 3. Because I'm not sure if Deborah Simpson will get back in time to pitch, or somebody on her team will. But nevertheless, we wanted to basically have as many women as we could in tonight's event. That isn't to say we won't have women in our future unicorns either, but it was a real priority for us. Norma's also going to tell you more about how we met so many of them in New York last week, which was great fun. With regard to our continuing problem with too many registrations, we're going to try and fix it over the next month. Basically, what's happened is we have interest in lots of different topics, and so many of you are on our master pre-registration list that it's making it easy for us to get to 1,000 people who are registered for pretty much every event. So, for instance, the clean tech crowd is also in our master list, and they may not be showing up to life sciences. So, what we're going to have to do in the next couple of weeks is we're going to send out an email to everybody who's on the master registration list and ask you to pick which categories and theme events you do want to be invited to, so that we're not inviting people to events that they aren't planning on showing up and then making it hard for others who want to be registered. If you see anybody in the room with the name Venture Starters, it means that those people couldn't register before we hit 1,000, and now they are coming in under a basically generic name, Venture Starters. And for those of you who are named Venture Starters, if you'd like to take advantage of our networking community, please click on the 3 dots on your photograph and change the name. You can change it. I think it says name change or change name, and then you can type in what your real name is if you'd like to use us from the perspective of networking. If you're here just to watch, then you can remain Venture Starters as your name. Also, another announcement, we don't know everybody who attends our events. We're going to have well over 200 people here. I can already see because we're at 140 and we just opened the doors. So you're responsible for your own due diligence. We just bring everybody together. Norma and I are thrilled that Venture Starters is becoming such a success, but we just want everybody to be aware that it's up to you. It's the burden is on you to do due diligence on anybody you meet at our event with regard to doing business. We do know that we have 217 people who have identified themselves as investors that are attending our events, and that was before we had to cut off all of the pre-registration and the questionnaires because we were just getting way too much data and too many people that were on our list. But so we're probably well in excess of 217 investors now, and every week we're attracting more. And the key to this is to get the investors here so that we can make magic happen for a lot of you. But many of you don't realize that what you need isn't just money, it's also talent, because the teams that are the right teams attract the money. So I hope that when you're here, you're also networking for talent to join your teams. If you need more talent, maybe on the business side, maybe on the revenue side, maybe it is for warm introductions to investors. That's kind of the secret sauce that I believe makes for the most successful startup teams, is essentially a team that has a combination of people who know the right stuff and some people on the team who know the right people, know the right door openers, and then maybe one person in particular who's really good at being organized, because startups that aren't well organized, there is a challenge for us investors just seeing the paperwork and understanding what's going on. So with that all said, I would like everybody, especially our new folks that are arriving. We have a few that are in the audience, some pictures I haven't seen before. I'd like you to meet Norma, and Norma's going to talk about the last week that we just had in New York, which was a lot of fun. And I'm going to play a little photo show of what we just went through last week.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Life Science Unicorn event. We're very excited to have you here. Mark and I just went to New York. We went to the HIT Lab Innovator Summit. It was great. It was about technology in medicine. It was digital health. And it was put on by a group called HIT Lab. This is Stan, this handsome man right here, is the head of HIT Lab. And he's the one that puts this whole thing together. We had a great time. We learned a lot. There were a lot of this man next to Mark is a doctor, a lot of doctors here. We met very smart people that some of them will be pitching tonight, like as there's Jamie and his daughter, who's been a part of our community. They were there by surprise. We didn't even know they were going to be there, but they are here. Gil here is hosted one of our parties, a cocktail party. It was a full event. We had all types of exciting things going on. Lots of things to learn, lots of intelligent people talking. The gentleman here is an investor. We had a lot of very good people there. It was very exciting. And you'll see some of these people at some of our events in the future. A lot of female doctors. Happy to say that there was women health was one of the big things that was emphasized at this event. Most of these women are doctors. This gentleman here is in charge of the SBR loans, and we'll be talking about that with you also. The grants, actually, not even a loan, grants. Jerry is one of the people that put on the event, and it just was wonderful. We can't say enough about how great it was and how much we learned from being there. So thank you for looking at our pictures.
And thanks to all the HIT Lab team who made it possible for us to be there. And we highly recommend, very highly recommend their events. If you are in the New York area, they're going to have more events. Please get involved. They're directly involved with Columbia University, and pretty much, I have to say, the most impressive people in digital health are connected to HIT Lab. So if you are anywhere connected to digital health, you need to at least know what's going on with Stan and his amazing team. We were blown away by everything we witnessed and could not speak more highly of them. We're already, the crowd is definitely coming, which is fantastic. All right, so and I see that two of the speakers, the ones I was waiting on, are in the audience as well. So the order of who's going to speak is in the chat. Please open up your chat. Please do not spam the chat tonight. If you are a service provider, absolutely use the chat to put information about who you are there, but not like every 5 minutes, okay? Our regulars will know, and they will, please, if any of you are out there and you see anybody spamming the chat tonight, please take it upon yourself to let that individual know to stop, so we can make sure the chat is actually organized. At the end of the event, you can actually get a copy of the entire chat. So if you were looking for key information, key contacts, key email addresses, there's 3 dots at the bottom of the chat, and you can save the chat to your computer. So that's another option for tonight. And the way that we're going to organize this is we're now going to have a 10-minute clock. And that's going to start pretty much from the time that I introduce the next speaker or speakers. And then within that 10 minutes, they're going to have to get their screen share going, make their pitch, and hopefully there will be a few minutes left for Q&A. If there is, I will try and make some comments. And Jill Embry, who many of you may recognize from previous events, especially in healthcare, where I've needed help, smart help to ask questions. Jill is so brilliant and thankfully is here tonight to help me with any questions that we should probably be asking. But we do want to try and keep the entire presentation to 10 minutes. And then since the clock isn't going to necessarily ding loud enough, I may make an announcement when there's like 30 seconds left and we have to try and wrap it up. That way we can get all 9 of these companies in tonight, and we'll do it in an orderly manner, and it'll be before the event ends. And I think with that, Norma, is there anything else that I have forgotten to say before we get started with our very first unicorn? You're on mute.
You're ready to go. Everything is good. Just
okay.
People that are speaking, please, if you didn't hear me say it earlier, don't leave when you finish so that you can meet people in the chat. There will be people wanting to talk to you. And always put your URL address for your LinkedIn in there so they can find you when they look for you. Okay, thank you, and good luck tonight.
Yeah, good luck to all of you. And people are going to be coming and going over the next 2 hours. Don't be surprised if you see screens or somebody you were looking for was there, and then 20 minutes later they're back. It just happens because we're at dinner time, and there's a lot of reasons why it keeps happening. Nevertheless, we're going to get started. The very first company is Sanacor. Sarah, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your first name correctly, but you're going to be the first to pitch, and you are more than welcome to also do screen share.
Here we go. Can you see?
There we go. It's coming up.
Okay, perfect. Great. Hello, everyone. I'm Saira Ramasastry, COO and co-founder of Sanacor, and I'm joined by my co-founder, Dr. Mike Widlansky. To Mark and Norma, thank you so much for including us today. We're excited to be a part of this group. And hello, we are Sanacor, and our first goal is to reverse the #1 cause of death in diabetes. We are addressing a critical unmet health need with blockbuster commercial potential. We have a great team, strong science, and an execution plan that we believe will create value in less than 2 years. Nearly all diabetics get heart disease. In the next 20 years, over 500 million people will be at risk of death from diabetic cardiovascular disease. Their fight will cost, and it's actually closer to $400 billion every year. We simply cannot afford for this to happen on an economic or human level. The standard of care does not work. There are no effective treatments. And the reason is because the current standard of care does not address the reason that most diabetics get cardiovascular disease. Because of this, they are 2 times more likely to have a heart attack and 5 times more likely to die of a stroke or heart disease. So our mission, first, save the lives of diabetic patients, and the second is to cure other diseases where FIZ1, our main target, is overexpressed. This is our team. Mike Widlansky, he is the academic cardiovascular chief at Medical College of Wisconsin and a global KOL in vascular disease. You know me, I'm Saira, 25 years in investment banking and deal making, over 100 deals negotiated, including 3 of my own exits. And we have a world-renowned SAB that are all known in their fields and very supportive of our story. We're starting with a strong science foundation. Our company is based on Mike's 20 years of work with leading scientific organizations and industry partners. And since Sanacor's inception, these organizations have remained supportive, including an award from the ADA for a Startup Biotech Company of the Year when we launched. Mike's research is focused on the why. Why do nearly all diabetics get cardiovascular disease? And he found that all diabetics have elevated levels of something called mitochondrial fission protein 1, or FIZ1. This elevation creates a cascade of damaging events that result in vascular damage. We translated this science into practice and created a drug, PEP-213, our tool compound. We tested this in live human samples of diabetic patients. We found that it works and it's safe. Most importantly, the graph on the left, if you look at it, when we reduce FIS1s to normal range, vascular function improves to normal. We own the space. We have an exclusive license from the Medical College of Wisconsin for our tool compound, its patents, and all related FIS1 technology. And while FIS1 is a known target, no other companies are doing work in this field. We are the first and leading movers. Our execution plan, from peptide to pill. We went to the heads of biopharma that I have previously worked with, such as Mathai Mammen at J&J and John Marganore, who is the former CEO and founder of Alnylam, and asked, what would we need to do to have a partner or an acquirer? And they said, you need a pill with a solid data package. So that's what we're doing. We negotiated a great partnership with WuXi to find small molecules, and we were able to use PEP-213, our tool compound, to guide us carefully through their over 30 billion molecule database. Their head of R&D in Cambridge, UK, was so impressed with what we're doing that they gave an in-kind investment into our company with chemistry support. We've completed this step. We now have a basket of promising high-quality small molecules that show very good binding using MST. We're further characterizing them using crystallography to understand exactly how they're working. And from here, we'll go into chemistry to prep these compounds for human clinical trials. Heart disease is just the start for us. FIS1 is implicated in many diseases, from diabetic complication to diseases of aging. We have formed business development collaborations already with JDRF, UNC, and Linus Pauling Institute for neurodegenerative disease. The comps say 2 years. With our business plan, we believe we will create significant value in less than 2 years. These are benchmarks for the profile of company that we will be at the end of our work plan. We will be a company that will own the FIS1 space, much like the targets on this page. And we will have a basket of small molecules that are lead optimized with a lead indication. I helped with the last 2 deals that were negotiated against Lilly with Rigel and Disarm. And knowing those companies intimately, that's exactly what is valuable to a pharmaceutical company. Having something they can lead quickly into the clinic with, but also owning a whole disease area. That's how we'll get there. We're going to execute on our plan, vetted with pharma and biotech venture capital. We had a successful first close with 2 healthcare institutions. Our execution plan is in place. We're making a pill. We're preparing the program for human studies and have SRAs both with Medical College of Wisconsin and the Milwaukee Institute for Drug Development. And we're exploring FIS1 in multiple diseases with our business development partners. We're looking for a second close of approximately 1 million and have an indication for a majority of that from a biotech venture capital group. Thank you. We hope that you will partner with us to bring this important drug to the patients in need. Thank you so much.
Great pitch. Why only 1 million? I mean, you're gonna do human clinicals, right? It can't be that this is $1 million.
So that is a great question, Mark, and thank you for asking it. We may eventually do human clinicals, but the first part of our work plan that we diligence with Mathai and John and others said that turn your peptide into a basket of small molecules, get them lead optimized, do a few animal studies on them. And so we will be able to do all of that and get them IND enabled with the exception of long-term tox and scale-up manufacturing. But that's not what we would need to do a partnership or staged acquisition or a Series A. At that point, that's when we raise for the Series A or we have an exit.
Got it. And does that include large animal tests or just small animal tests? 1 million is still seemingly small amount.
It does include some large animal. Mike, are you on the line? Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I'm Mike Goodlansky, CEO of Sanacor. So thank you very much for allowing us here tonight. So the initial studies, in order to get to where we need for inflection, would be mostly small animal studies. The large animal studies in talk are where you start moving into Series A type work, to to move towards an IND essentially. But as Siren mentioned earlier, the inflection point is likely earlier than having to do large amounts of large animal studies. That would be more of in the early part of a Series A.
All right, thanks, Michael. Jill, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I was going to ask, based on the mechanism of action binding, are there other organ systems that are impacted? And if so, how?
Another excellent question, and I'll start off and then Mike can go into the scientific part of this. But phase 1 is implicated, or it is relevant all over the body. However, what we've done, and through our crystallography map with our tool compound, we've actually found the very specific binding site that the molecules need to go to so that you're not messing up the homeostasis of the system. And Mike, since you were involved in the creation of PEP213, if you want to give some additional color on that.
Yeah, so a couple of good items, a good question. So first, phase 1, when we block it with PEP213 at a specific target, it's mostly active in pathophysiologic states. It doesn't appear to have, when we actually block it under somewhat healthier physiologic states, to have a negative effects. And that's the slide that Styra showed in the middle of her slide, showing the vessel function. It's implicated in neurodegenerative diseases. It's implicated in several cancers as well, of overexpression being potentially part of the mechanistic pathway, and potentially also in the development of cardiomyopathies. We're actually exploring some of those potential other indications, as Sarah mentioned earlier, with our scientific partners.
Okay, fantastic. We don't have enough time for more questions. I want to thank you both for coming and pitching to Venture Starters. You got us off to a great start. And if anybody is interested in meeting these two amazing people, please do so in the chat. And now would be a good time for you both to put your information in the chat so people here in the audience can reach out to you. We're going to move on. The next pitch is going to be Jamie with Actual Healthcare Solutions. Before Jamie begins, though, I just want to say I believe in this one. This is to the investors in our community. Listen closely. This is a big problem that's about to be solved by a very smart guy, a surgeon who took time out of his surgery routine to try and solve an industry problem that affects everybody that's doing what he does. So listen up to Jamie. You're up next.
Thank you very much, Mark. Norma, it's great seeing you guys again. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. So let me go to the pitch deck. I'll bring that up. Give me 1 second. Yep. And let me share my screen. Sorry for the delay. Continue. Share screen. Can you see the screen, everyone?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. So welcome. And again, I appreciate the opportunity for everybody to be listening to our presentation. We're from Actual Healthcare Solutions. My name is Jamie Wisser. As Mark had so graciously introduced me, I'm a plastic surgeon. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I've been in clinical practice for close to 28 years. I'm a clinical assistant professor of orthopedics at the NYU Langone Medical Center and the Grossman School of Medicine. It's been a real honor to have an opportunity to work with the people at HitLab and to get an introduction to Mark and Norma and the associated innumerable people who are interested in revolutionizing how healthcare can be evolved. And we are happy, really happy to be here tonight to be taking place in the event. So our corporation, Actual Healthcare Solutions, was founded in 2015. And the company is essentially focusing on true solutions that doctors who are we're on the field, we are playing in this milieu are trying to develop healthcare technology to assist doctors directly in the day-to-day activities that we must engage. The problem that we've decided to address directly has been the referral system between doctors regarding patients and the need to combine, a team approach. The issue at hand is that, I mean, between telephones and fax machines, the system for referring patients between one another, it's broken. If you take a look at some of the data that I'm describing, this is very thoroughly researched, but the specialists who are the recipients of these consults they just think the whole thing is broken. Again, we use fax machines, we use telephones, we're all very busy. It's very difficult to disrupt the daily workflow in order to try to gather information about patients, because herein lies the issue. Not only are patients referred to, doctors for specialty assistance, but the problem is that getting the information to help figure out what is to be done with the patient is where there's a real chasm. 68% of specialists receive no information at all from primary care doctors when consults come in. And, the primary care doctors, they don't even know, half of them don't even know if the patients ever get to the specialists. They just fall off by the wayside. When you look at the liability associated with this, 20% of the malpractice claims that are filed nationwide result from an absence of information exchange. The information falls by the wayside. And unfortunately, 80% of medical errors come at the point of patient handoff. This is a serious problem for the healthcare system. It costs a veritable fortune when you think about the idea of information having to be repeated because it's inaccessible in a timely manner. And, where I like to use the analogy of the telephone system, the cellular system that was developed throughout the 21st century. It allows the public to be able to communicate and share critical information upon which actions are taken. Well, imagine if you had, an Android trying to call an Apple iPhone, and all of a sudden you couldn't reach that individual because the phone systems were unable to be connected. That is the problem with electronic health information exchange today. Even though we have sophisticated systems that have been created to store patient health data, the ability to store that information is fine. The ability to exchange that information is completely absent. At Actual Healthcare Solutions, we have put together an incredible team of industry leaders. I'll just leave it up as I speak. You can all take a quick look at it. But it turns out that we, as an innovative company, have figured out how to accelerate or speed up patient access and physician access for referrals, digitize the process, and attach PHI, which is, patient health information that can be exchanged regardless of the source of the information, regardless of needing to connect to different EMR systems through APIs. We've pretty much come up with a universal solution that we think is going to revolutionize the, referral process. Speed to referral, speed to definitive care, cost savings, efficiency for patients, efficiency for families, efficiency for the system. And on the receiving end, the monetizing end, what you're hearing is that, all throughout the HitLab symposiums, who's going to pay for any of this technology? Who's going to pay for any of these innovations? And the answer is all health systems, all doctors are looking for new patients, especially within the younger age group that are technologically sophisticated. They want to acquire these patients. And so as a result, they're willing to provide subscription services for the use of our technology and offer expedited access to their, not waiting 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to get in to see them, but immediate opinion recognition, need immediate opinion delivery within 24 to 48 hours to the requiring patient and the physician inquiring on that patient's behalf. And it's perfect. It works beautifully. So we've expedited patient referrals through our new platform. It definitely increases revenue because the doctors who subscribe to our systems are able to now, turn the wheel. They're able to get patients in who need definitive care. And there's a much better matching between doctors and patients who, patients have certain needs, doctors have certain skill sets. It's a terrific matching of the two. And we believe that ultimately it improves patients' outcome through efficiency. The platform itself, the differentiators are very, very important. Not to go into too much detail about how the platform is designed, the most important thing is that it is patented. We have a method patent, we have a derivative patent for the actual technological build, and we believe that the market advantage, the ability to be a first mover in this space is reinforced by this patent. We have secure data storage, all the information's encrypted, multiple searches are eliminated. And I could go through it, you can read the slide, but there's a reduction of patient data risk, which allows the confidentiality to be preserved. If I go into an EMR system myself, I can see all the information for every patient at NYU Langone, University Hospital. This system allows for confidentiality and privacy. We believe that's an important part, and that's what doctors understand and patients want. So specialists receive the relevant PHI, and there's verified patient health information because we leverage doctors and patients to make sure the data matches the identity of the individual before it goes in. Quality data in, quality results out. Garbage data in, garbage results out. To take a quick look at the market, we have the ability, if you look at the numbers, to just take advantage of this market opportunity. If you look at the CAGRs, I'll just run it through very quickly. We are able to bring in, from our perspective, millions upon millions, by year 5. Again, this data is available and we can make it available to those who are interested in the investment opportunity. 4.07 billion. That is the market for the US in patient acquisition and referral management. That's a big nut to crack, and we feel we have a market leadership position.
Jamie, you're down to 50 seconds, so try and wrap up here.
We're almost out of time. Taking a look at what the market competition is, we're in a quadrant on the upper right-hand side by ourselves. Most of these patient acquisition tools and referral systems focus on primaries. We focus on the specialists who have a better ability to subscribe and pay for our services. And just take a quick look at some of these quotes. The feedback from those who have been involved in our beta study, which is our current position, they see the value. They see the propositional value. Go-to-market strategy is regionalized very quickly. The use of funding, we are currently asking for 2.5 million as a raise, as a seed round to not only work with organizational development, but also to take our beta product and develop it into a commercially releasable product by the first quarter of next year. We are happy to talk to anybody who would like to know further about our organization and our platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. We don't have time for Q&A, but I do want to put my personal stamp on this one and say that Norma and I spent a lot of time with Jamie and his amazing daughter, Caitlin, and we would like all of our investor friends to take a look at this one, because the more you learn about it, the more you're going to like it. And this one makes a lot of sense. We can implement this one fast and get this to market fast. This isn't an 8-year FDA approval kind of a investment kind of thing. It's different. Please take a look. Meet Jamie in the chat. We're going to move on. Next up is Navigate Maternity.
Thank you, Mark. Give me 1 second. And Norma, hi.
Hi.
Can you all hear me
Hello.
and see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Can
Well,
we
thank
go
you
to the
all so
slide?
much.
Can we
I'm
go to
sorry?
can we go to the slide so we can see your beautiful face before you finish your presentation? That's all I ask.
Before the 10 minutes are up,
Yes.
try and
So we
get
can
the
see you.
slideshow
We want
off.
to see
Yeah.
everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for having me. It was really great meeting you all at Hit Lab last week. So to give you all a little bit about Navigate, I am the CEO and founder of Navigate Maternity. We are a tech-enabled medical device company And our flagship product is our remote patient monitoring system that enables care teams, health systems, and stakeholders within healthcare to better manage prenatal and postpartum moms. I started the company out of my own experience. So I've worked in healthcare for over 12 years, but my husband and I also have 4 babies. So we have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So that's a lot of babies in a very short time. And it was during COVID when I first wasn't being touched and I was a high-risk mom that I understood that there was an opportunity to do something better. And then that was solidified when I almost died giving birth to our 4th child. I encountered a very tired on-call doctor who tried to send me home, would not listen to me. And my family had to step in on my behalf. And thank goodness. So once they did, they then called my doctor. My doctor rushed in, took me back to the operating room, opened me up, and uncovered that I had a uterine window or a thinning in my uterine lining so thin you could see my daughter's hair. I was hours away from rupturing. And it was that experience that really codified that we have to do something, and we have to do something now. So I worked in healthcare sales, pharma sales, biotech. I've also worked in global market access consulting and reimbursement strategy, heading U.S. market access and reimbursement strategy for the 4th largest medical device company globally. So deep expertise within the space. Thea James, our COO, has been in healthcare space for over 12 years, working in managed Medicaid as well as Novant and the VA. And then Dr. Harris, our Chief Medical Officer, has been in practicing OB for over 14 years, working in private practice as well as a large hospital group. And then actually now she currently sits as one of the policy members for ACOG. So a leader within the space. Corey Wolfgang, our fractional CTO, has been in the healthcare space for over 21 years, working at one of the largest health systems here in Indiana. So a team with deep expertise in the space. We have a great board and ad board. I won't run through all of them, but know that we have great folks across healthcare, from med device to payer to health tech, helping to launch our product. So let's revisit the problem. The US has the highest prenatal and postpartum death rate of any high resource nation in the world. Black women like myself are dying 3 to 4 times that national average, and Indigenous women are dying 2 times our national average. But this is the stat that always sticks out to me. So I was born in 1990. It was safer for my mother to have me then than it was for me to have my daughter 2 years ago. This death rate has more than doubled. And per the CDC, we understand at least 84% of these deaths are preventable. So we understand what mothers die from, but we don't understand the how, the why. So my team, we've identified 4 key clinical gaps. Number 1, a mother's touched about 14 times during the prenatal and postpartum journey. These are snapshots. It drives reactive care. 3rd, we're not capturing social determinants of health data. And lastly, implicit bias. So how do we replace that subjectivity with objective data? And that's a problem we have to solve now, right? Roe versus Wade is gone in much of the country. This is a $25 billion problem just in morbidity that is currently growing. So that leads me to our core technology here at Navigate. So we've created this comprehensive remote patient monitoring system that actually sits on top of a certified EHR backend, meaning that we can integrate into Epic and Cerner. Our hardware is FDA cleared, they're Class 2 devices. And all in all, what we do is we empower care teams, stakeholders, payers with the data they need to improve prenatal and postpartum outcomes. So how does Navigate work? So our system is actually prescribed at a mom's first appointment based on certain risk factors. We then set mom live in the office with her kit. She then goes home. She has her Navigate patient navigator, and her data flows through to her physician that is responsible for her care. As we screen for social determinants of health or even mental health, we then automate referrals to local partners so that we can intervene on mom's behalf and taking load off of our docs because we understand burnout. And then based on contracting, we will help to watch mom up to 1 year postpartum. So in terms of the TAM, this is a very viable TAM. Our target market is focusing on BIPOC women, so women of color or women who are on Medicaid. Medicaid pays for about 49% of all childbirth in our country. When we think of our US market, it is north of 3 billion. And when we think of our global market, it's north of 9 billion. So this is a very viable market. And the market is primed for innovation like this now. Reimbursement has changed drastically. So currently we have about 45 states now covering, with an expansion of Medicaid coverage within the postpartum phase, meaning that now moms that typically were kicked off of Medicaid, so it's 49% of women that are childbirthing, they're kicked off of Medicaid after 6 weeks, now have reimbursement up to 12 months. So this creates a whole new opportunity to scale an innovation like this. And overall, our impact, we impact the entire system, breaking down the silos and bringing meaningful data that can actually help to improve the outcomes. So currently we are in a pilot that's funded by the University of Louisville Health System and Humana. So we're launched down in Louisville, Kentucky. We just inked another contract with Cameron Hospital, which is a rural hospital here in Indiana. We are actually in integration with Epic right now. We were just recently named a Prime Health Challenge finalist, meaning that we have the opportunity now to pilot with a safety net network in California. And as a special prize, we will be featured in the Texas Medical Center coming up in 2025. In terms of our traction and our milestones, we raised a little over $700,000 in our pre-seed. We currently have closed out on a little over 1.4 million in our seed. We have about 575,000 left in this round with a target of 2 million for this seed round. We've been featured by Stanford Biodesign, MedTech Color. We have received investments from Verizon, American Heart Association. And through all of this, though, the goal remains the same. And this is my ask. I'm asking you all to join us in the fight to end this maternal health crisis. Thank you.
Great pitch. My first question is how does the doctor find out that the patient might be depressed, and deal with that issue through your system?
Yes, so we actually have validated mental health screenings through our platform, so through that patient app. And when that patient does have an issue, and if those answers meet the clinical threshold, then that care team is alerted. And what our patient navigator does too, Mark, just to add, is that if, let's say, because we understand that physicians and care teams are really busy. So let's say based on the threshold, it's actually urgent and they haven't seen that alert coming through on their Epic, our patient navigator can intervene on their behalf to make sure that alerts like that and patients like that don't fall through the cracks.
Have you walked your system through with other women that have gone through pregnancy to get market feedback besides
Absolutely.
yourself,
Yes. So we actually spent a lot of time doing beta testing with physicians, moms from all different backgrounds too, to understand, will it work for a mom who, maybe doesn't have a college degree? Will it work for a super busy mom that has multiple children? So we actually did test our solution out with multiple types of moms.
Jill, did you have any questions, Dad?
Yeah, I had a couple questions. First of all, have you looked and gotten your reimbursement codes that you'll be able to use?
Yes, so we're actually leveraging existing remote patient monitoring codes. There's a whole stack of codes. Now, mind you, the reimbursement rate will vary by the payer, and it will vary by the state Medicaid. Yes.
Okay, and then my second question, the patient advocate, how are they recruited, and are they personal advocates, for instance, like a caregiver, or are they someone that is hired to do this?
So currently our virtual patient navigator is actually run through our team. Mm-hmm. We do, though, for instance, with a few partners, like a few health systems, they actually have their own patient advocacy groups. So what we'll do is we actually partner our patient navigator with their teams so that we actually work together and in tandem to help allow them to better scale and better capture data on how this patient advocate is helping mom.
Right. Thank you. And please put your information in the chat.
I sure will. Thank you. Thank you, Jill.
Sure.
Norma, did you have anything? We have 20 seconds left.
No, I'm very happy to see that you're doing this. I know that this is a problem. There was a prominent case here in Los Angeles, well-to-do Black family, already had children. Husband was very distraught when his beautiful wife died on their third child, died in the hospital. I believe he's suing Cedars-Sinai.
Charles Johnson.
Yes.
I've talked to them. They're a great family, and Judge Hatchett's son. Yeah, it's horrible what happened to Kira.
Right. And I actually had 2 children at that hospital and I was fine. So I do not think it's necessarily always the hospital. I don't know what it is that makes, but maybe you can do something about this and fix it because it is a problem that needs fixing. Thank you very much for doing it. And I look forward to you being very successful at this. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Norma. And thank you, Mark.
Thank you for pitching. Okay, next up is Deep Look Medical. And this is actually really fascinating. Marisa, are you available?
I am, and I just want to tell you that Navigate Maternity is for sure the real deal, and you guys should seriously consider them. And, you know, women have to support women, and this is an incredible product. So, but I am the CEO of Deep Look Medical, so great to see everybody. We're at Deep Look, we're enhancing medical imaging with revolutionary technology. It's really time to visualize better healthcare. And currently, 13% of all screening detectable cancers are missed on today's existing imaging. And a fact that I just heard recently, that there's 20,000 women walking around the United States with breast cancer, and they don't know it. 45% of the entire global population of women, which means 25% of all humans in the world, have dense breasts. And that's a problem because dense tissue is really hard to see through. And that's not just in breast cancer, but in all types of cancers and all types of imaging. And the reason that this is a problem, because it's very subjective and operator dependent. And when you can't see through a cloud, you can't see the airplane in there either. So at Deep Look, just as a quick summary to get your head aligned, we are FDA cleared. We have multiple patents issued and global patent protection. We have distribution contracts secured and executed upon. We have a great management team, and I talk a lot about breast cancer here and breast imaging, but this is not all that we do. So we're taking data-driven imaging out of the past and into the future with accurate, efficient, and personalized information so that it becomes the new standard of imaging. And so a lot of people ask me, like, oh, there's so many imaging technologies out there, especially in the breast cancer world. Yeah, there are. But unfortunately, they're not multimodal, they're not with deep analytics, and they're not looking at the specific lesion like we are. We're the missing puzzle piece to allow them to take a deeper look. Sorry,
Hold on,
whoever is
Marisa.
named-
I'm gonna mute the room because we've got some, and you're gonna have to restart. Come out of mute, and we'll add a few seconds onto the clock. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Go ahead.
I'm a New Yorker, I'm pretty fast, so don't worry.
If everybody could just remember to stay on mute unless you're the presenter. Thank you very much. Norma, you're also on mute. Okay, go ahead.
No worries. But, you know, we're the missing puzzle piece. We need all of these other companies and all these other areas to do their job. We need the mammograms. We need the CTs. We need the ultrasounds. That still has to happen. We're not disrupting that standard of care. The computer-aided detection still has to happen. The region of interest identification still needs to happen. Risk and triage and density score still needs to happen. The problem is, they're not looking at the actual lesion. They're just making very generalizations. We're the missing puzzle piece to take that deeper look. It's a very, very large market. And the reason why we started in breast imaging, because it is the largest singular subsector of the entire diagnostic imaging sector. It is also the first annualized screening through imaging that happens. And only recently, like last year, did lung cancer become the second one. And that's only for a small subsector of the community. This is a hot area. Let me be clear. These are just some of the acquisitions that happened in the last year, more or less. And half these people are our partners. It is poised for disruption. And no offense to Mark and Norma, I'm not sure we're actually going to be a unicorn because we're going to get acquired way before that. So let me show you kind of what we do. This is the fun part. First part is a faster workflow. On the left, radiologist is manually outlining that image. The thing is, you can see on the right, we've just done it 5 times in the same amount of time, automated, the same exact time, 1 click. That's all that they're doing. And you can have multiple regions of interest in the same area. So that's first and foremost. The second one is, humans just physically cannot see all the shades of gray, no matter how great a radiologist are. You do not have bionic eyes yet. And quite honestly, you need help. And there's a lot of help out there. And we're the ones that can help visualize it, colorize it, show you the inside morphology, which for radiologists and oncologists, this is incredibly important for them to be able to make a next step diagnosis, a next step decision. We help to do that. So in summary, we're a one-click measurement, segmentation, and visualization tool. We are already FDA cleared, and we already fit seamlessly into your workflow because of our partnerships that I'll go into a second. You don't have to go to another screen. You don't have to go somewhere else. You don't have to click, 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 click. It is already there on demand when you need it and not distracting you when you don't. The other exciting part is we are FDA cleared across the entire imaging pathway. That means across CT, MRI, mammography, ultrasound, and for all health areas. And as I said, I talk a lot about breast because it's the largest subsector that we're starting with, but we're also being used in lung, in liver, in thyroid, in neuro, in prostate, all cleared and ready to go. We have some really exciting partnerships. Here are some of them here. We have a distribution contract with Barco. They own 90% of the medical monitor business. More or less, any monitor that anybody is looking at is theirs. The large OEMs, GE, Philips, Siemens, they're using them. So are the hospital systems, they're using them. We are integrated directly into their monitor. We don't need anybody else to be able to use our tool. Tempus, another very large AI, $8 billion AI company. We are integrated into 2 of their products now. It's for RECIST, for the measurement in clinical trials. It is the most important thing that they could do. They utilize and white label our tool for that. We are part of a lot of accelerator programs. Actually, just got accepted 2 days ago into the Tech Forever one out of Switzerland. And we keep moving and growing. We are a commercial stage company, just went commercial. So hold the expectations. We just went commercial. We should be revenue generating. We're planning this quarter, and it's really exciting. We sell annual licenses for some applications. We sell per study volume, but we do this through channel partners. We are never going direct into a hospital. It is very hard for a small, teeny tiny little software company to get approved into each individual hospital system. Why not have the Bayers of the world, the Barcos of the world, the Tempuses of the world that already have these contracts and relationships? They're going to do it, and they're going to sell our product for us and with us in partnership. We have a lot of exciting things coming up, including new, I'm not going to go through this, but new study results, new partners. We're going to have new products coming out. So that's an exciting part. And at this point, we are capitalizing on all the excitingness in AI, all the excitingness in radiology. So radiology is the first big area that AI is accepted and adopted in. We are capitalizing on all of that. And we're growing. There is nowhere to go. I mean, we're just growing, and it's incredible. We have new partners coming on board. We have new contracts. We have extension of existing contracts. And it's really, really exciting for us. Here's just the executive leadership team led by myself. And just so you know, I developed the 3D mammography system. I know the imaging space. I've worked in the large OEMs and large companies, including Hologic for 9 years and managed their mergers and acquisitions and was in charge of integrating. Our head of engineering, he's a 38-year GE executive and ran the entire ultrasound business. Our chief medical officer out of Harvard and MIT is in the pharmaceutical space too. So we have a great team, great board of directors and advisors. And what we're doing, we're raising a $5 million Series A right now. We have a term sheet with our lead investor. 45% of the round is committed. It's a $12 million valuation. We're going to do a first close in the next few weeks, and then we're going to keep it open probably until about the end of July to raise the rest of the $5 million. We want to grow, we want to expand. And just so everybody knows, we are going after an acquisition in about 12 to 18 months through one of the strategics and probably potentially with some of our existing partners. So in summary, we're the solution to see-through dense breast and dense tissue, expanded into lung and liver and thyroid and prostate. And we need to visualize better healthcare. And we're the one that's going to do it because the opportunity is almost a $10 billion opportunity for us. So happy to answer any and all questions. Here's my contact info.
Wow, that was fantastic. Norma,
Yes, I have questions. First of all, very good, and I hope that you get this to market very soon. When we go to our doctors, we get a prescription to go get a mammogram. When we
Yes.
get a mammogram, we go to a radiologist, and they have this, lovely machine that puts your breast between two glass plates and squeeze you to death.
Yeah.
You look through
I
it.
developed that. I'm sorry. That's standard of care.
So how is this going to be integrated into the mammogram that we get? And what is going to be different from what we went before? You say you can see through dense breasts. I get that, but is it going to be the same machine? Is it
Same
going
machine, nothing changes. Standard of care does not change, nor do we ever want to change it since we just finally got it approved and covered by insurance. We are the tool for the radiologist to maybe not call you back for a secondary screen because they can't see anything. Maybe they don't send you for a diagnostic or for a biopsy. So 90% of all breast biopsies are on benign lesions, so you don't have to do them. So if they could have seen, and these doctors have told us, they're ordering them a lot of the times to cover their ass. Mammography is the most litigious area in radiology. And quite honestly,
Okay, let's go.
as a patient, you're not going to make any change. What's going to happen is this is a tool for radiologists to hopefully faster, easier, better visualization so that either you get faster care or you just stay where you're at. You keep going.
the radiologist will get new equipment that
No new equipment. This is software. This is just software.
the
It's a software
is
tool.
integrated into the thing they still do, and now you can see better from it.
Yes.
Okay, so how long do you think before you get those things into the
We
radiology?
already are. We're commercial right now.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, looking forward to it.
That was awesome. I love that pitch. Just fantastic. But we're going to have to move on because we've got a lot more people that we're going to be having pitch tonight. And I have to say that we have great people pitching through the rest of the evening. So I know many of you may be tempted to head off to dinner or other things, but you're going to want to stick around to the very end for tonight. Absolutely. We have so many amazing people. In fact, coming up, and it's just going to be a tease, one of the founders that's pitching soon already has 8 million in revenue. I know a lot of our investor friends always like hearing when there's somebody that's in revenue. Up
Can
next
someone,
is
whoever has their mic open, please, please, please. Notice your mic is open and close it. There's a baby talking, so we need to
I
have
think
the
we
mic.
found it already, so
Okay.
I think we're good for the moment.
And if you have your hand raised, this is only 9 people getting to pitch tonight because these people have already been pre-selected. So if you have your hand up, Callie, tonight is just the people that we have in the that have already been selected.
Okay, so up next is John Sanwo with a wearable dose, and this is fascinating, and I really love this one.
Go ahead, John. We can't hear you.
We have no audio. It doesn't look like it's not that you're on mute, but there's just no sound.
Can you guys hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark and Norma. Thank you, everyone, for giving me the opportunity to present, and I will share my screen really quick. And get started. And please let me know if you can see my screen.
We can.
Okay, awesome. So we're Wearable Dose. We do precision cancer therapy. We're a Class 2 cleared device, and we have approved reimbursement codes already in the pipeline. And what we do is real-time in vivo radiation detection for cancer therapy. We help doctors prescribe dose the right amount of cancer to the tumor, leading to fewer treatments and side effects. So what's the problem that we're trying to manage for? Patient movement is the key thing. Patient movement during radiation therapy leads to risk to healthy tissue, overdosing and underdosing of tissue, and can lead to complications in remission and cancer coming back. So we heard about imaging earlier tonight, and the way cancer treatment works today is you get a CT scan, you go in, you get radiation therapy, you come out, you get another scan, they tell you come back in 6 months, we'll let you know how it went, because there's no real way to measure absorbed dose in real time. There's ways to look at the dose that's being pointed at the patient, but not actually what the patient is receiving. How does it approach today to treat this? This is from the 2024 World Federation of Society of Anesthesiologists on the standard for radiation. Most patients go under anesthesia because if I asked everybody on this call not to move for the rest of my presentation, it would be almost impossible. The patient is then immobilized with casting and strapped down, and then optical monitoring is used to target lasers and understand what radiation is being pointed at the patient. And then the main thing to understand is nothing is measuring what's going into the patient in real time. There's a 24% complication rate. That's only looking at the short term, not really looking at the long-term complications that come with that. So what's our solution to this? Wearable Doses patch is a patented patch that detects with a double X and a double Y axis down to 70 microns the intensity of radiation that's going into the patient. So we can, with pinpoint precision, target radiation at the tumor on site. We can essentially, it's a patch that goes on the patient. If you can see my screen, if you move around, we can essentially align doses to pixels on the patch. We can essentially target that patch while the patient is being treated in real time. We're then taking assisted AI and machine learning and bringing something to the market that's new. It's called dynamic treatment planning. Because we can measure the real-time radiation dose, we're taking all the national cancer data around that and we're bringing that to the clinician in real time. We're reducing the amount of time that a tumor is treated. So rather than treating just the center of the tumor and leaving borders, we can treat with pinpoint accuracy, treat the entire tumor at the same time, reducing treatment times. We can reduce session times. The average session goes between 5 to 10 minutes. But the actual session time, because of patient management, is about 50 minutes. We can bring that down to 15 minutes because we can resume treatment precisely much faster. So comparison to all the other dosimeters on the market, there's nothing that does real-time monitoring, nothing does patient adaptability, nothing does location detection, and there's varying degrees of accuracy. But as I said, we're accurate down to 70 microns, and really within the lab, we can detect it down to 4 to 6 microns. So we went to University of Maryland and we had a conversation with the Proton Center and their physics lab, and we said, hey, describe what the modern dosimeter would look like today. On the left-hand side, you have what most dosimeters look like today. This is what's used in the field. They said no cameras, easy maintenance, tissue equivalent, better geometry, flexible, easy to modify, no energy modality independent, real-time quick access to results, application is patient specific, many field applications. They were describing the patch we had created. So we're essentially taking dosimetry and moving it into the next generation, making it real time, bringing AI and ML into that field at the same time. What's our sustainable competitive advantage? We have an exclusive patent on this. We have other patents that are coming to market, and we have a continued joint research agreement in place to continue to make those advancements. Our initial target market, and I'm just talking about proton therapy for right now, the service available market is $2.5 billion. We're targeting pediatric, veterinary, prostate, and then all vital organs. Our goal is there should not be radiation that is external radiation that is delivered to the patient where it is not done as precise and customized to that patient. And that market is much larger for cancer overall. So key achievements and partnerships that we've been able to get to today. We were in the top 5 pediatric device by the Alliance for Pediatric Device Innovation. We're an AWS startup. We're part of the CTIP portfolio, which is the Consortium of Technology and Innovation in Pediatrics, and also ADPI portfolio. We've raised about $400K non-dilutive, and we have another $500K in the pipeline right now. We're part of all the major hospitals that you can think of in this space, and we're working closely with them. They can't wait to get their hands on this patch. So meet the team. There's myself, John Samuel. My background is in technology, taking technology from ideation all the way to commercial launch for the last 20 years. Dara, whose background is in bioengineering. Isaac and Patrick are distinguished physicists. They have multiple patents to their names, and they're the inventors of the patch. And then on the other side is our advisors, Dr. Michael Short, the head of nuclear science and engineering for MIT, as well as the Harvard Plasma Lab, and Dr. Hisham and Dr. J, both ex-J&J, Mayo, Nova, and they understand the medical dosimetry space, and they've been guiding us as we go down this path. So we started last year, and I put this slide up here. I don't want anybody to read it, but I want to show you guys how much we have done since kicking off late last year. And the focus is over the next 6 months, we're finalizing manufacturing sourcing, initiating our clinical testing, building our electrical devices, and then initiating application testing, completing some of the grant applications that we have, finalizing our reimbursement strategy and regulatory application. So what are we asking? We're asking about $2.5 million to finish our clinical validation. Our long-term commercial launch will be about $5 million. So I've talked a lot about wearable dose. The overall for our roadmap at a high level, we have an MVP by the end of this year, and by early next year, we should be in commercial launch. We're seeking funding, advisors, and industry partners to help us get there. So I will ask you to join us to help us fight cancer and make sure nobody goes under radiation therapy without having the precision on their side. Thank you.
Okay, that was great. Can we end the share screen
Yes.
so we can see you? Great. Jill, do you have any questions?
I was just curious about the size.
So right now we have a standard 4x4 patch. As you can, this is the actual prototype in here. This is the polymer that it's made from. It's flexible. It can go anywhere on the patient and move with the patient. It actually stays on the patient.
In the polymer?
Yes.
Yeah. What is the polymer?
The polymer is actually made from the ground up to detect radiation. The polymer reacts to radiation as the radiation goes through the polymer, and we can measure that actual reaction.
So that's part of the product, is the specialization of the polymer.
That is the main product, is the specialized polymer. And then we're also, for the first time, because we can detect the radiation in real time, we're bringing in DTP, which will essentially bring in machine learning and be able to optimize dose. Today, you have dosimetry, which is kind of, you take a calculation, it's almost standard. What you give a 20-year-old is what you give a 2-year-old, is what you give an 80-year-old. Well, what we want to be able to do is take that National Cancer Institute data, bring that to the clinician and say, we probably should not be dosing in this way. Let's optimize it. This is what the patient has received. How do we optimize the patient's treatment for the next session?
Norma, do you
Thank
have
you.
anything? We're just down to 30 seconds, so.
I think it's a great idea, and I think it's definitely should be something that we should be using to solve cancer. So thank you very much, John, for bringing that to us, and hopefully you'll get it financed soon or funded soon and be in use as soon as possible. Thank you.
I've had a few conversations with John, which is why he is a unicorn tonight. He's very impressive. So if anybody wants to dive deeper, you'll be even more impressed when you have a one-on-one with John. So I highly recommend that. Thank you very much. That was a great presentation. Really appreciated it. We're going to move on because we have lots more, and there's some really great pitches. So stick around. We have 4 more. Okay, up next is BirthView, which is going to be presented by the 2 founders of the company, Roshan and Helene.
Thank you, Mark and Norma, for the opportunity to pitch tonight. And yes, I'm Helene Rutledge, and Roshan Sasson and I are here to talk to you about BirthView's mission to improve labor and delivery outcomes. So we're just pulling the presentation up here. So Roshan is pulling up the presentation. And while he's doing that, I will mention that some of the statistics that you'll be hearing from us, Ariana from Navigate Maternity has already talked about. And what's exciting is that there is some great synergy between BirthView and what Ariana is doing at Navigate Maternity. So some of the things that we'll be talking about won't be a surprise. So for the first slide, that we have. It's obvious that it's the United States we're talking about, that we're 56th in the world in infant mortality rate with over 20,000 deaths per year. And many women have to travel over 2 hours to a hospital to give birth. And once they get there, 60% of the maternity units are understaffed. And from 2000 to 2023, the maternal mortality rate has increased 75%. So you all know this is the United States, and these figures are averages, and averages can be deceiving. Disproportionate access to care is a huge problem in the US. Rural healthcare deserts and poorly staffed urban hospitals are both economically disadvantaged areas with higher populations of people of color. Women of color are 3 times more likely to die in childbirth and twice as likely to lose their baby. Despite spending more on healthcare than any other country in the world, we are the worst of all developed nations. We must do better. So here's the mom side of the story. For an individual mom, what should be one of the most wonderful moments of her life is mixed with fear and anxiety. In US hospitals, birth is a medical procedure and the mom is a patient. The information asymmetry prevents moms from knowing their options and having agency to choose the birth that's right for them and their baby. And what you see on the screen here are quotes from some actual moms that we've spoken to. And in my personal experience, even with a background in healthcare, with my second child, I had to fight the old adage of once a C-section, always a C-section. And with the help of my husband and my doula, I had a successful VBAC, which is vaginal birth after cesarean. So doula assistance and active participation by the mom have been shown to reduce failure to progress in labor, which is one cause of unnecessary C-sections. Outcomes can be greatly improved when moms are active participants in their labor. So Roshane is going to talk about BirthView's origin. So I'm wondering if maybe there's something wrong with his microphone. So.
Well, he's not on mute. But maybe the screen share is impacting his technology. Not
Okay.
sure.
So although it would be way better if you heard this from Roshane, I'm going to tell you a little bit about his origin story. Because the maternal health crisis is affecting all families across America. And basically, Roshane, as a Black man, is really concerned about these disproportionate statistics. And when he's thinking about his family in the future, if he knows that if he's not in the delivery room with his wife, there's a high chance she might be ignored or face neglect from being a strong Black woman. And, basically this impacted him with the drive to start BirthView. So what's necessary to impact the change is to have a solution that captures the needs of all stakeholders, moms and their babies, clinicians, hospitals, and insurance companies. This solution must be low cost to implement, bridge the information and communication gap, and improve support and agency. With hundreds of labor and delivery departments closed since 2018, hospitals are struggling to keep up with their operating expenses. Current tactics are not working with the increase in maternity care deserts and drastic changes in the quality of care throughout America. It's about time we enable women with proactive labor insights, highlighting means within their control that can lead to better labor and delivery outcomes and experiences. So, introducing BirthView's digital doula. This is an AI-based application in the delivery room that comforts, informs, and guides women towards safe, efficient, natural childbirth outcomes. Our solution serves as a personal, customizable digital labor coach to humanize and demystify the birthing process, create end-to-end transparency throughout the stages of labor, and connect all touch points during labor and delivery. The autonomous interface by the patient's side translates hospital sensor data into a predictive and reassuring format, helping women who feel unprepared, unconfident, or uninformed excel during one of the most difficult and beautiful moments of their lives. So here's how BirthView will work in practice. We enroll the mom in her 3rd trimester. Her doctor recommends the BirthView program in the office. The mom provides consent to set up her personalized profile and receives the BirthView interface, her care plan, and remote monitoring devices. She starts the gamified education program and can personalize her interface so she's ready for labor and delivery before she gets to the hospital. During the birth, the digital doula is always in the room with her, providing actionable suggestions and coaching and encouragement for the mom. Meanwhile, the clinician dashboard provides a streamlined view of all the patient data, allowing for triage and clinical decision support based on widely accepted guidelines. Finally, after the baby is born, the data is stored and analyzed to further improve the algorithm. So this all sounds positive, but what about the financial impact? What if I told you we could reduce the overall cost to the economy by almost $10 billion in the short term? Simply put, vaginal births are how humans have come into the world since our origins. It's both the safest and healthiest for the mom and baby and the least expensive. Now, clearly there are C-sections that are medically necessary, but focusing on the over 400,000 each year in the US that are deemed unnecessary would make an enormous impact. And this is only the immediate cost, not including additional complications from surgery and the long-term physical and psychological effects on both mom and baby from a bad birth experience. So within the past 6 months, the results from a heuristic analysis with multiple OBGYNs showed the necessity for a patient-centered solution to improve maternal outcomes. With our clinical prototype developed, we are in parallel creating a security infrastructure meeting the criteria of health systems and their HIPAA guidelines. We have ongoing communications with Mayo Clinic. We lost our slide. I don't know, Roshane, if that can go back up. And potential access to their de-identified patient data set to accelerate the training of our AI model and algorithm. We've received interest from large hospital systems in the Northeast for a full-scale pilot across their health system and have begun the intake forms to create strategic partnerships. We're preparing for user studies as our first investor funds have also been added to the company. In addition, exciting news we just got is it was announced yesterday that BirthView is selected to be in the 2024 Stern Venture Fellows cohort kicking off in June. So as mentioned, we've begun fundraising and we're looking to raise an additional $1.2 million for the infrastructure to support building out our solution and scaling through pilots. We're seeking accredited investors who can invest via a SAFE agreement to help accelerate development and get our solutions into the hands of patients as soon as possible. So on our team slide, which we can share with anybody who is interested, since we're having some technical difficulties, I can tell you that we have a team, including myself, who my entire career has been in the healthcare industry. Roshane is an expert programmer in the AI space, and our advisors have a collective of over 100 years of combined healthcare experience. And we have a cohesive, well-structured team to address the maternal health crisis. So as we face these challenges, we know that we can pivot towards the success of the company, but to ensure our vision towards improving labor and delivery outcomes holds strong. So please join BirthView's mission to improve labor and delivery outcomes. And as I mentioned, we're looking for pilot partners and investments. So reach out if you're interested in learning more.
Thank you, Helene. Roshane, apparently just the computer dropped out. So maybe here, he's trying to come back in right now. Yeah, thanks. We'll let him back in. So just out of curiosity, this computer screen that you as a pregnant woman sees when you're in the hospital, are you actually listening to anything, or do you have to only read the inputs and information that is on the screen?
So the screen is designed to be non-intrusive, and the mom can set it up in a way that she desires, but it's really more that it's a visual indication of when the next contraction is coming and whatever guidance there is in order to help her optimize her labor. And we do have some visuals of that, unfortunately. So anybody who's interested, we can send along a deck with more the ability to see the solution.
Okay, well, we did run out of time, but thank you very much. And it's really a great pitch. And I hope others are interested in seeing the full deck and understanding all the details of what you're doing. So thank you very much for pitching. We're going to have to move on because we still have more great people here in the queue to pitch. So up next, we're going to try and do Deborah Simpson with CMedics. If we run into a problem, we may have to move Deb's backwards. Deb's is in motion right now, and I am going to try and do the screen share for Deb's presentation. But Deb's, can you just talk for a second so we make sure you got your audio working?
Sure. Very excited to be here, Mark. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Before we start the clock and I put up the presentation, since you're the only one that's pitching tonight that's actually gone through my method of how to raise money by attracting people who know the right people, could you just give everyone here in the audience at least a minute of your experience working my method for your company?
Absolutely, Mark. I can tell you that Venture Starters has been one of the keys to our success. Okay, Mark, November, and Norma have been a tremendous, not a little asset, but a tremendous asset in our initial funding and actually finding our employees overall and really making a difference within the company. What we do, oh boy, there it goes. There we go. Okay, there we go. What we do is we do advanced early warning for heart failure. And before we get started, I should tell you that my father had 5 heart attacks. Our family were one of the 6 billion families in the US alone and tens of billions worldwide that have heart failure problems. So we have a non-invasive solution for making that happen. So should I continue, Mark?
Yes, I've got your screen up, so I'll just try and forward it for you.
All right, sounds perfect. First of all, heart failure costs in the US alone $44 billion, okay? Monitoring fluids prevents these. This is what we can do. We are a non-invasive solution. Many people are familiar with the Swan-Ganz catheter. Next slide. Okay, and this is the current practice. Everyone looks at the person on the left. Do you want your mother or your father going through this procedure? I can tell you that is the only way to get stroke volume, fluid status, and the information that critical doctor information that we provide to the doctor to save lives. Do you want your mom having that particular Swan-Ganz catheter, or do you want our solution, which is on the right, basically a strip of tape that goes on the chest, biometrically figures out what's happening? It's an exciting, revolutionary, very disruptive technology, which takes this many thousands of dollar procedure on the right to make it less than $100, already reimbursement code approved, which we already have. The reimbursement codes, we're going to FDA next month. We are already launching in the University of Michigan to do just verification studies. We already know that we're over 90% in specificity in relation to the gold standard, which is the Swan-Ganz catheter. It is a huge opportunity, and we don't want families like my family went through this with 5 heart attacks. I can tell you it was beyond a nightmare. Next slide. We're lucky enough to have Dr. Mark with us. I don't know if you can see him, but Dr. Mark is with me in the car, and he can explain the technology.
So, evening everybody. So our core technology is a hemodynamic cardiovertismograph. That basically means that using bioimpedance, we direct a small amount of current into the chest with known voltage, and then we measure the resistance or impedance. The core of our technology is a non-invasive, multidimensional signal processing algorithm in time, frequency, and power. Our algorithm allows us to eliminate the noise from the signal and then to pinpoint both the B point and the X point of this DZDT signal, and then measure a highly accurate beat-to-beat ventricular ejection time. What that allows us to do is then go provide a non-invasive stroke volume, and the only other way to do that, as Deb's mentioned, is a through invasive Swan-Ganz catheterization. We have a greater than 90% sensitivity and specificity against the gold standard. We have a bibliography of more than 100 peer-reviewed papers across science, medicine, and engineering. We have a pre-approved CPT reimbursement code for use in the hospitals. And in its truest sense, our low-hanging fruit at the moment is heart failure. We have the ability to anticipate the fluid overload, which is the #1 reason that these heart failure patients end up back in the hospital. And you all have seen these patients. They've got the swollen ankles with the pitting edema. They've got the pulmonary edema in the lungs. Some of these late stage 3, stage 4 patients end up back in the hospital up to 5, 10, even 15 times in a given calendar year. Our technology provides a predictive index to anticipate this fluid change up to 72 hours in advance. So before the swollen ankles, before the chesty lungs, we can tell you that your patient is going to get wet before they get wet. In its truest sense, we have a biomedical technology solution targeting the country's largest patient population for the #1 reason that these patients end up back in the hospital unnecessarily with a huge healthcare cost and savings.
You're on mute there, Debs. Oh, did we lose Debs?
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Good.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, next slide. We already did the patent. We do have strong patents. We have a very powerful team, which is one thing that I'd like to say. We have Kevin Ferguson. We have Dr. Marco Greaves, also a PhD in biomedical engineering. And we have Mike O'Gorman, who's a commercialization specialist. And we have a very experienced CFO who's done 3 public companies and a hedge fund. Very, very experienced. And together, we're going to really make this thing fly. Next slide. Okay, just from market size perspective, it's over $31 billion. I don't think the market size is ever going to be issued with just 6 million patients in the US and worldwide, tens of millions of patients. Next slide. Overall, are we going to go fast and big enough for our investors? The answer to that is absolutely. The reception that we've gotten in the market, I have been involved in 4 medical device acquisitions and 2 IPOs to make this happen. And this is the strongest one I've ever been a part of because it's the first one where all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Very exciting. And we'll grow to 431 billion in 4 to 5 years. And I believe that's very conservative. Next slide. In summary, we're looking for $15 million. We do have money in the bank, and we do have several people, several groups that are interested, 150, 120, 115, that have all confirmed interest during the due diligence process. But we're open and flexible. It's a tremendous deal that's going to change the lives of many people worldwide. And we are going to make a difference, and we are going to make this happen, and we're full speed ahead. Mark, thank you so much. There are many exit potentials. IPO may be the better route for a much higher valuation for our shareholders. It just depends. Think of C-Medics. Dexcom is for diabetes, $50 billion market cap. C-Medics is for heart failure, a market that is 6 times larger than Dexcom's market. Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you everyone for your time today.
Okay, great. Thanks, Debs. And I'm sorry we had to do that with you in the car, but at least it did work out. Let me stop the screen share here and be safe. So what I can tell you is Debs has a great team. We helped recruit part of the team. The whole idea was find people to add to the team who personally knew how to raise money through friends so that Debs no longer had to go and pitch total strangers, at least to get the big infusion of cash into the company. And we were successful at getting that big cash infusion so that they're in this position now to go and raise more and get to the finish line. I highly encourage any of the investors that are interested in saving lives and they're interested in the heart attack space to get a hold of Debs, who will be more than delighted to spend time going through the deck and all the details with you when it's a little bit more convenient and you guys aren't in a car driving. But just in case we can fit in a question, Jill, do you have any technical questions?
Yeah, how sensitive is it to placement on the chest?
Actually, that is a great question, but I think Dr. Mark can answer that very well. Mark?
So for sensitivity, we use these sterile notch and then the xiphoid for positioning on the chest. It needs to go approximately midline. It's not highly sensitive to that, but what we're looking for is basically we're detecting the fluid shift from the left ventricle into the ascending aorta, and then we're detecting that change in volume and change of flow. So it's not down to millimeters, but you couldn't go and put it like a foot apart from the midline of the chest.
Okay, thank you.
Did we answer your question?
Yes.
Yes, you're welcome. That was a great question.
I think we're going to wrap this up just because you guys are traveling and it feels semi-unsafe to be asking you to be doing this while you're in motion. But thank you very much for calling this one in. Debs, you and I need to talk and get caught up on a bunch of things. Great to see you. I hope your meetings in San Francisco have been mega successful. Thank you very much.
And thank you all. I would like to say that, your venture startups that come in, they are well vetted. And I'm an angel investor, and I think I've invested every single one. They're that good. And that's because Mark and Norma are so amazing. So thank you so much, Mark and Norma, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Debs. Okay,
Good luck, Debs.
we're gonna move on. We still have, please, everybody stick around. We still have two very exciting presentations. The next up is Robert Rodriguez with Helix.
Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. My name is Robert Rodriguez. I am the founder for a company called Helix VM. And Helix VM is basically pioneering a type of medicine that is called asynchronous medicine. Asynchronous medicine is basically a way where doctors and patients can actually have medicine performed without actually seeing each other. So the idea is that a doctor can be in one place, a patient can be in another, and they don't even talk to each other, but we basically put together a chart for that physician to provision medicine. The value to what we do is that we basically do, for the patient, the ability to give them a fast prescription very, very quickly. We're able to increase the access for that patient to basically get the care that they need. For the physician, we drastically improve their throughput. Our physicians can see 2 to 3 times as many patients, and we do so in a way that it really lowers physician burnout. The issue is with new types of medicine is always an adoption rate. So for many patients and physicians, this is brand new. They're a little uncomfortable, but we are seeing some very, very good traction. Okay. We have, at this time, we've built a SaaS platform, and the SaaS platform, in essence, starts with basic digital intake of a patient and works all the way through to triage. So we spend a lot of time with the patient, probably 15 minutes, sometimes even more, getting information from them, validating information through our clearinghouse and through other methods, and then in essence, putting that all through an AI and providing a medical note to a physician. That physician is able to see the patient in 1 to 2 minutes and in essence, basically do so right on their electronic medical record system. We don't ask our physicians to drive a second car. We ask them to drive one car, the one that they're currently familiar with, and what we do everything to basically put the entirety of a SOAP note, which is what we have, right into their system. Okay, so one of the interesting parts was, we obviously started doing this, and there was a lot of questions about what the effectiveness of it, how the adoption rates would happen, and so we did a study with HitLab, which is where I met last week. And we got really, really good feedback, both from the patients in terms of the value proposition of asynchronous medicine, as well as also the physicians. And that basically really validated for us, I think, kind of where we were going with the technology that we were building. Last year, when we went live with the platform, we actually decided to go and find patients. Okay, so we did. We started to do some marketing, doing direct-to-consumer marketing to bring patients in, to validate the model, and we grew pretty quickly. We've seen in the last year about 40,000 patients. We've acquired most of those patients directly through our own marketing efforts, And our revenue for 2024 should be somewhere in the range of between 8 to 10 million on gross revenue, which is the total amount of revenue we generate. And then after we pay the physicians, the net revenue should be around 6 million. The vast majority of that work is basically what we call gap care and other low acuity medicine, which is episodic also. So for example, I don't have time to go see my physician. It's going to take me 2 days to 3 days, 4 days, 26 days to get an appointment. In essence, we're able to see that patient. We see them mostly asynchronously, and we have, in essence, a treatment plan ready for them in less than an hour, hour and a half. So we believe in speed, both for the physician as well as for the patient. Okay. As I mentioned, one of the unique features that with respect to the platform is our ability to sort of handle these two modes of synchronous and asynchronous. And today we're basically seeing about 80% of our patients are being seen asynchronously, about 20% are being seen synchronously, which is a face-to-face visit. And our doctors have doubled their productivity. So if you're, for example, a hospital and you have an outpatient center and you're seeing a lot of Medicaid patients, well, one of the biggest problems you have is profitability because of your throughput capacity limits on a per physician basis. This type of medicine, in essence, would double it, and it would turn basically what is an unprofitable business into a profitable business. It's a big deal. Doing medicine this way is a very big deal. Our business right now, as I mentioned, is focused principally on B2C because we needed to bring in patients and validate what we were doing. But moving forward, we are looking to raise money because we're trying to expand the software platform and hire engineers to, in essence, support a B2B2C platform, which is, in essence, a white label, as well as also support a B2B solution through the platform. So today it's fine-tuned for direct-to-consumer, but we're looking to basically add a lot of functionality to it in order to rapidly grow. So 40,000 patients, hopefully in a couple of years, 400,000 patients through the platform. We're raising about approximately $5 million at this moment in time. And it's a very clean cap table because I've been the person who's managed the cap table. I'm the one who's funded the company at this point to date. But I am definitely looking to open up the cap table, bring in some investors, and also hopefully those investors can help us with the commercial strategy and the sales strategy that we're looking to pioneer. That's pretty much it for me. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So when did you start the business?
The business was founded in May of 2021, and we went to market with our asynchronous solution in May of 2023. So we've been, in essence, seeing patients for about 12 months.
Is there anything patentable or proprietary where you can avoid somebody saying, "Oh, great idea, let me start one too"? Or is this a market kind of strategy?
Yeah, there are a few moats around the business. The first moat is we've cultivated our own provider network. Physicians aren't by their very nature risk takers or looking to do things differently. So the first thing is we've developed, in essence, our own provider network. We train them. We have our own list of ICD codes that we have pioneered. We have our own treatment sets. And, that obviously everything can be copied, but it would take somebody a great deal of time to do that. That's number one. The second piece that we have that we're working on and we're looking to, again, build towards is we do have some patent filings that are what I would consider to be novel applications of or extensions of, in essence, this concept of a SaaS platform to process patients asynchronously. And that extension would cover things both in terms of the actual care provision to the patients, as well as also in the whole on the back end in terms of the fulfillment. So fulfillment to us is the doctor's done. There's an order. What do we do? There's a lab. There's a series of things that have to happen for that patient to receive their care. And so we do have, I think it's 4 patent filings that we have done that are under review.
Jill, do you have any questions?
Yeah, and it's really based on, looking at it from a patient perspective and where a lot of the patients aren't as technologically sophisticated, especially when you start talking about Medicaid. Is there a way in which there's limitations on patient population due to the interface and the way they interact with it?
Well, we have, believe it or not, we've seen 40,000 patients. We've had our fair share of Medicaid patients and Medicare patients. Obviously, the vast majority of what we do is commercial. Approximately 75% of all the patients that we see are commercially insured patients. I think that the way that we approach the data collection from the patient is we try to make it one runway. So that way they can begin and end, in essence, in one session, as opposed to kind of a station to station approach, which is you start, you stop, you start, you stop, you start, you stop. And that obviously helps us in terms of completing the data, because there is a lot of data collection on the patient in order to do this medicine. The principal concern, frankly, that I have is more language, and making sure that the languages that we use when we are communicating with the patient and getting back particularly medical information is consistent with what they are capable of communicating in, especially when you're dealing with patients who maybe communicate informally. You know, you have Spanish, but there's a lot of ways of communicating the same thing in Spanish, and AIs and LLMs aren't necessarily quite ready for that.
And then there's the rural communities also.
Rural communities also. And I use Hispanics because that's my last name. So, but yes, there is an aspect of it. So there are some limitations in terms of the ability to do a full asynchronous visit with a patient, subject to how they respond in the triage, right before it goes into the AI to sort of crunch all the work. But given the medicine that we do tends to be low acuity, the information that we're able to get through the clearinghouse helps us establish some existing ICD codes, as well as a pharmacological history, which goes a long way, because even if the patient tells you X, if you have the proof of Y, it really does allow the physician to say, okay, I really know what's going on here. I think I understand better how the patient is responding, what the patient is here for. Classic example are patients with pain medications who come in, and obviously, they want 90 days of Xanax, and we can't really do that. But what we can certainly do is validate that patient is under treatment. We can validate who the physician is, and then we can, in essence, provide an extension on that script and provide the gap care to the patient. So we use existing medical records in order to augment the data that is presented in the SOAP note to the physician.
We're going to have to wrap this up right now, but Robert, congratulations on getting 40,000 people already through your system. That's really remarkable, and I applaud you for that, and thank you for coming to pitch us. We have one more pitch and then 3 announcements. I hope you all stick around. So a few of you who are regulars may have seen Nancy Brief here in the past come and pitch her beautiful company that's focusing on type 2 diabetes and obesity in particular. She's on an airplane to Europe right now. So standing in is David Maggs, doctor who's the chief medical officer, who I don't believe I've met. And if I have met you before, David, I apologize, but you're up.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Norma. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, well, we can see you. Try your screen share.
Let me try again. I nearly did it. I apologize.
There you go. It's coming up. Great.
Okay, we're nearly there. Right.
Perfect. There we go.
Well, great to be on this call with you all, and thanks again, Mark and Norma. And like Mark said, Nancy is sitting on a plane somewhere. I'm here to speak to you about a product that we call Lucy, an abbreviation of luminal coating of the intestine. I'll tell you more about that in a second. My background is I'm a UK and US trained endocrinologist. Worked in academia for a while, then big pharma, and then had a long run at Amylin Pharmaceuticals, where we had the first GLP-1 receptor agonist, exenatide, developed and commercialized. And now, years later, I think you are aware that there is a massive interest in the so-called Gs. Some of them call them the GLPs, the single Gs, the triple Gs. But I'm talking about Ozempic and tirzepatide, Mounjaro, what's the other one? Ozempic, semaglutide, tirzepatide, and there's a whole host of them following behind that may actually offer even greater benefit. And the reason why they're causing such a massive groundswell is they can incur amazing weight loss in patients, up to 20% or more. Historically, weight-lowering therapies could just about hit 5% if you were lucky. And bariatric surgery was an anomaly in that it could deliver 30% weight loss or more in obese subjects. But now this G therapy class is really delivering on quite extraordinary weight loss. And I think all of you on the call have heard something about the Gs. However, they aren't blessed with a perfect profile. There is a little bit of challenging dose up titration. If you know people who've taken Ozempic or Mounjaro, they are injectable. They do have tolerability issues, which make them prohibitive. You can't get your hands on this therapy easily at the moment, unless through appropriate coverage, et cetera. And we're beginning to learn that the beautiful clinical trials that deliver 20% plus are not completely replicated in the real world setting. So it's an amazing new disruption in the metabolic space, but still more room for improvement. So what is Lucy? Lucy is, like I said, luminal coating of the intestine, and it's actually a reconfigured old drug called sucralfate, which is known by its brand name Carafate, which is a therapy that actually attracts itself to diseased peptic ulcer tissue in the stomach and the duodenum, and is a peptic ulcer disease treatment which has been safe and effective for 4 decades. Bright scientists out of MIT looked carefully at the sucralfate molecule and realized that if you shift it to a less pH dependent to a pH independent configuration, you can actually make it behave differently in the stomach. And it actually forms a little slurry in the stomach that passes into the duodenum and jejunum and forms a coating, which recapitulates part of the bariatric mechanism. Part of the bariatric mechanism is bypass of the upper gastrointestinal tract, and this is what Lucy seems to be able to recapitulate. There are core composition patents filed through this invention, and Nancy and the team have already had a successful PIND meeting with the agency to sort out what this clinical regulatory path may look like. And the schematic on the top of the screen here just gives you a sense of, to the left is what happens with actual bypass, and to the right, the blue coating of the stomach and the duodenum and jejunum prevents nutrient contact, which allows for that so-called bypass. The actual inventors behind this platform are impressive. You already heard about Nancy, serial entrepreneur, Jeff Karp, serial inventor out of MIT, Ali Tavakoli is the head of surgery at Harvard and Brigham, bariatric surgeon, John Brooks, serial diabetes entrepreneur, businessman, and lastly, Chris Manzoris, who I know well, is the head of endocrine at the Brigham. The clinical team, the C-suite team, you already heard about Nancy and myself. Jay is actually an ex-Lilly executive who he and I teamed up on the old GLP-1 receptor years back. And Ella is a very accomplished clinical operations development executive. So a strong team that's got many years under its belt. What is Lucy likely to deliver on as a complement to the so-called G therapies? Well, it's going to be a fairly simple and straightforward therapy, no titration, orally administered capsule twice a day. It's likely to be well tolerated as per Carafate, its parent format. It's going to be very cost effective, many years of safety established, so no safety concerns. And we already have some nice, strong preclinical evidence. And like I already said, some good guidance from the FDA on an expedited path. We believe that Lucy, as it's planned to be configured, can actually become quite an interesting new therapeutic in the diabetes obesity space, delivering on nice glycemic improvement, easily competitive with other already established therapies, but differentiated by also delivering weight loss, the combination of both glycemic improvement and weight loss. That's differentiated from other diabetes therapies. Here's a little window into some of the evidence that's been generated. There's a nice preclinical study conducted out of the MIT lab where they studied Lucy exposure over 35 days in a DIO model. That's diet-induced obesity. That's a standard for all new diabetes and obesity drugs. And what you're seeing in the middle panel is the elevation that Lucy incurs of both GIP and GLP-1. That's the essence of the bariatric mechanism, and in fact is what tirzepatide or Mounjaro is. It's a combination of those two peptide receptor systems being targeted by this therapy. So nice preclinical evidence that's already in the bank. Last slide. What, in summary, and what's next? We already know this is a very de-risked pharmaceutical asset that in a very smart way, ingenious way, has been reconfigured to the metabolic challenge. We have had a successful pre-IND with an expedited clinical path at what is called the 505(b)(2), which means that the overall development costs will be low and with a much shorter timeline than convention. I mentioned the patents. You all know the massive unmet need. The G class is projected to take up $100 billion segment in years to come, and Lucy can be a small part of that. And again, an experienced team that I already mentioned. What we're looking for is a $15 million raise. Nancy's already raised $6 million in the early iteration of Ultrix Bio, spent on some of that early work. But we need a new $15 million raise to conduct more talks, CMC, preclinical pharmacology, but most importantly, a SAD-MAD trial. The SAD-MAD trial, guided by the FDA, we call it a phase 1/phase 2 in that this is a truncated and accelerated pathway because the FDA guided us that we can do the convention of SAD-MAD, but also attach at the end some chronic exposure in type 2 patients. That's a gift from the agency. So the $50 million will take you all the way out to the end of a phase 2A read, which will make this a very exciting inflection point for Ultrix. So very happy to be here, although I was last up. And what great presentations that preceded me. Some fascinating stuff. Thank you.
It's been an amazing night, I have to say, and thank you, David. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with you as the stand-in at the last moment here, but you did a fantastic job. It sounds like, you know, the company was originally focused on obesity and then came to discover that the same methodology was actually helping with type 2 diabetes. And so it's really like a 1-2 punch in a very positive way. Nancy is really impressive. Any of you who have had a chance to meet her or talk to her, you will be very impressed. And Norma and I are going to help this company raise $15 million. We are looking to build an advisory board of people who personally know the right kind of investors for this type of breakthrough, and especially those that believe the obesity market is going to be a growing, very successful, very lucrative market to be in. If you as an investor or somebody who knows investors would like to talk to us about being on an advisory board, I don't think a technology like this, a breakthrough like this, should be pitching total strangers. The way we want to find our investors is through warm introductions. And if you're that person, please reach out directly to me because we want to set up some meetings and see if you might fit into our advisory board. We have 2 announcements to make before we're going to call it a night, but I will say with regard to the 9 people who pitched tonight, You are all amazing, and what a gift it was for all of us in the audience to be able to see so many great things that you're doing to help women and pregnant women and save lives and and help get prescriptions faster and efficiencies and models like what Jamie is doing, which is truly remarkable. In my opinion, that's going to change everything. So we were able to see so many of these amazing things before they're going to hit the market. And I really hope that our investors will reach out to these amazing innovators. We have two people in the audience that have announcements to make. Ricardo Silva, you're up first. Make it 2 minutes or less, please.
Thank you, Mark. Will do. Let me share my screen real quick. I have 2 slides to share, and we've heard wonderful presentations. People are doing great things, but the question is, how do you get from your idea or your early stage startup to where you want to be presenting in this wonderful audience? Well, the Washington Global Health Innovation Exchange is a global community, a global ecosystem where we have people from all over the world working with minorities, working with neglected people, and helping them solve their health issues. So how do we take your idea? How do we take the needs? How do we merge them together, raise funds, and get them into the next stage in the development? So the exchange, it's an atypical incubator. We're actually a community or a co-incubator where people get together to solve the global problems. Started in the state of Washington. We are partnered with the Washington Department of Health, and we have global partners like the World Health Organization or the Andhra Pradesh Medical Technology Zone in India. So we have the people and the network to help you succeed. How do you enter the market? How do you get the different regulatory agencies in the different countries? And would it be better to test your product here or somewhere else? If you want to find out, or if you want to help us make this happen, please reach out and join us in the Washington Global Health Innovation Exchange. Thank you very much.
You have an event May 22nd still? Is that happening?
I don't know, Mark. You tell me.
I thought you did. Okay. I thought there was one on May 22nd at 8 a.m. But
yeah, we have an event. So every month, at the end of the month, we have a webinar. This month, we are presenting 2 of the companies that are part of our women's health cohort. They're talking about their innovations that merge women's health and artificial intelligence. So you're all welcome to join us next Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific to listen to these people that are part of our wonderful women's health innovation cohort. So yes, Mark.
Thanks, Ricardo. Okay, and then Gary Goldman is in the room. Gary? Or he was. Are you still here, Gary? Oh, maybe he left. Okay. Oh, no, I see he's still here, but he's probably not sure if he's listening. So Gary is with the Global Health Impact Fund. And we're going to be doing some collaborations with his fund.
I'm here, Mark.
There we go. Okay, Gary, you got 2 minutes to do a little pitch here. Thanks.
Can I share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Can we see you?
So, can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I'll start over here. So, again, I've been in healthcare for 35 years. I've worn every operator hat there is to wear. I'm an anesthesiologist, a dentist, an anesthesiologist, an MBA. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had 3 successful digital healthcare companies. And I'm also an informaticist physician lead for Sutter Health and the 27 hospitals that we have for electronic healthcare records. So needless to say, I've got a lot of experience in this space. And about 6 years ago, we started Global Health Impact Network and Fund with the idea that I was traveling around, and it became quite obvious that one of the big problems was it was very hard to access clinicians in digital health and digital health, the evolution of the digital health revolution. They're busy. It's very hard for them to get involved. So what we did was we created an environment, a fund and a network that gave clinicians access to investing, but being an active part of the due diligence on the clinical side, and then creating a global network of those clinicians where we could foster everything from innovation to entrepreneurism through investing and commercialization of the companies that we invest in. So we created the fund and network. So, well, for some reason that's not working, but that's okay. So what we've done is we have a proprietary network, and we're working with Mark. It has over 300 communities in it, and we work with entities like Mark's organization, which are really the very early stage. What we do is we come to these events and we identify what we believe are the market disruptive investment technologies in healthcare, utilizing our network and our clinicians. So we start out, you know, if you come and join our network, you end up being a member and access to our network. Our network has, as I said, all these communities, and what we want to do with Venture Starters is it's a place where, as you can see, you can come and actually look at this meeting before you actually come to the meeting. And you can look at the companies, you can access some information about them before the event, and then you could then attend the event, and then post-event, collaborate with the founders, collaborate with the other investors around the ideas and is around the individual companies. So this is kind of what we do on the network side, but we identify companies, and we've invested in Fund 1 in 11 companies. We've had one exit after 3.5 years. We started a second fund, and we're always very interested. And tonight was great, Mark. I got to tell you, I really saw a lot of companies. Now, you know, where we come from, we've got some very detailed questions and a lot of knowledge about some of these. So we would be very interested in completing the due diligence on these companies and then making that information available back to the greater network. So that's what we do.
And thank you for that, Gary. We're going to try and collaborate more because Gary's connected to a lot of investors that we would like to have investing in the companies that come to our platform. Thank you, Gary. Can you undo the screen share so we can wrap up the event? Okay, so couple of last minute, we're a couple minutes past the end of the event, but I just want to say next week, Norma and I, it's our 29th wedding anniversary. I won't say which day, but we're taking next week off. So there won't be an event next week, but starting 2 weeks from today, we start up again with Technology Night, and Technology Night is everything. So, you know, all of you are pretty much most of you are into different types of technologies. This is just going to be our standard 2-minute elevator pitch. We'll get as many people in as we can. And then every week in June, there are events. So, you know, we're back to a very regular, heavy schedule. Certainly hope you all start to make us a regular 1 time a week kind of an experience. We're going to also try and fit in at least 1 speaker, maybe 1 roundtable. We are developing an event that we're calling SBIR. And if anybody would like to volunteer to be on the panel of SBIR and NSF and non-dilutive grants, we're going to have an event just to talk about that, because too many of us in this room need to know every little detail as possible about that. Norm and I were very lucky, thanks to Jerry and Stan and everybody at HitLab, to meet with a number of key top SBIR people. We're going to invite 2 of them to come and also be part of our event, so you can hear directly from the people who are making the decisions how it all works. I think this will be very useful as just an educational overlay to what we do here. Look to the venturestarters.com website for all the dates. We will be doing more unicorn nights, especially in life sciences, and we're going to try and fit everybody in. Sorry we couldn't get everybody in tonight, but to the people who did pitch, these were some of the smartest people that Norma and I have met, and we're honored just to be in their presence and have an opportunity to showcase them to all of you. The Venture Starters community continues to rock and roll. We had way over 200 people in the room tonight. Now, they weren't all there at the exact same moment, but we had a lot of people filter through. It was another very, very successful event for us as a community, and we're going to continue to do all of this. Norma, is there any other things that I've forgotten to mention before we wrap up tonight?
No, it's been a great night, a lot of great pitches. Thank you so much, everyone. It's a little accounting I need to do is we had over 1,000 people say they wanted to attend tonight. And we're going to have to do something to change the way that we have people on our registration because it makes it complicated. I don't know if you've noticed, a lot of people were here with the name of Venture Starters, and that was because 1,000 people signed up, but 1,000 people did not show up. So we're going to change that and fix that. So we're going to be asking you guys to give us some more information so that we can put the people that are actually coming in the queue, so we don't have to do it the way we did it this week. But we really appreciate everyone coming. We really appreciate all the wonderful pitches and amazing things that are going on in the medical and tech, and we need these things. We need these changes for women's health as well as men's health. And we really appreciate everyone being here and listening, and the ones that came to tell us about their great ideas. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. And just as a little bit of a tease, I spent all day yesterday at Space Tech Expo, and we are going to put together a space and satellite communication event coming up in the future that is going to be absolutely fascinating. And even if none of you are in the space industry, I hope you'll show up for that event because you're going to see some of the more futuristic ideas about where humanity is going. And I just couldn't be more happy with the companies that I was able to meet with yesterday. It was really quite a pleasure. Lastly, I just want to say again, I know we probably hit this topic a ton tonight, but HitLab, they are an amazing group of people. Norma and I could not have been more impressed. And anybody on the East Coast, especially if you're into digital health, you need to get to know this group. This is a community of high achievement, very, very smart people. And the leadership is outstanding. And I couldn't say more about it other than if you're in this field and you are not connected to HitLab, you're doing a disservice for your startup. So please take a look at them. I put their information in every email I sent out to you guys the last 2 or 3 days because I want you to get to know them like Norma and I have. They have an event coming up later this year. Norma and I are planning on going back again. And, you know, it's worth even making a trip from as far as Los Angeles as Norma and I are all the way to New York to meet with those folks. They're just absolutely amazing. And that's why we had so many great people pitching tonight. It was really HitLab that found these companies and nurtured them along. And we just have the pleasure of having them come and pitch. Have a great 2 weeks. Have a great Memorial Day. Let's see what's coming up. Memorial Day weekend. And we will see you back on May 29th for Technology Night. And thank you all for being amazing and part of the community. You can turn on your microphones for a minute and just shower the people who pitched tonight with at least your comments and appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Awesome job, folks.
Day.
Awesome.
Great job and happy anniversary, Mark and Norma.
Congratulations
on the anniversary.
Great job.
That's a cute little doggy too.
Good night, everyone. See you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay.